Per week news break show, noontime on Wednesdays and Fridays. Glad to have you along. We've got a call-in number, 1-800-492-5186, or you can always join us in the chat. We'd be happy to have you share your comments, questions, concerns in the chat. We want to be inclusive. We want everybody's voice to be heard, and we have this emerging media company here in Jackson, We Believe Digital, and we are just doing all kinds of things and twisting and turning and growing, and you know it's not easy when you put that seed in the ground, though, like has been done by Mr. Socrates Garrett. You put that seed in the ground and let Apollos, bring the water, and it's not always an easy trip to the surface, and that's what we've been going through here, and just all kinds of changes and so forth, but we're really getting to the point of blooming here. So we're so glad you're joining us at We Believe Digital. Got a lot of stories today. I'm Chris Young. Got a lot of stories today. The big thing down at the border right now, the Biden administration bracing for the end of Title 42 ended at midnight last night. Potential surge of migrants to the southern border. During the week this week, they've had as many as 11,000 people trying to cross each day. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, he's in a really a thankless job, and he held a press conference where he warned people against trying to cross into the U.S. Apparently, there's been a lot of stuff on social media that's contradictory and conflicting, and people confused. So he tried to iron that out. He gets criticism from the far left and the far right all the time. And he talked to people yesterday and again today about what the White House is doing to prepare for this massive change. End of the COVID regulation, special policies where it was more relaxed, and now firming up those borders, including bringing troops to the borders to help the Border Patrol agents to do their job. So that's probably the biggest thing going on in the U.S. today. But certainly affects all these other people from other countries, and sometimes 3-4 countries away that are migrating through numerous different countries to get to America. The Defense Department spokesperson Kirby, Admiral John Kirby, told reporters in a briefing that the Department of Defense is making a series of moves to bolster our defensive posture in the Arabian Gulf. The Arabian Gulf is a good large body of water, but the straits that go in and out of it, the Straits of Hormuz, are very narrow, and when you have ill intent, and Iranian military has been stealing these ships, boarding these ships and taking control of these ships and diverting these ships. So, when you're doing that, you're interfering with the internationally recognized free trade and trying to keep the sea lanes open. So we can certainly expect that there's a carrier over there, a U.S. aircraft carrier over there now. We can expect more and other resources to try and keep those sea lanes open. They say, I think I shared a few days ago, something like 25 or 28% of the world's fuel oil comes from Gulf states in the Arabian Gulf. So keeping those sea lanes open is critically important. We'll keep an eye on that. Some news out of Great Britain today that doesn't have to do with all the pomp and circumstance of the ordained one, the now coronated King of England, King Charles III. But this has to do with something much simpler, the wind. And for the first time ever, the UK is reporting that their wind energy is powering more than gas for the first time ever. So you have renewable energy that is providing the abundance of power in the UK more so than regular gas. And you remember when the Russians invaded the Ukraines, people was talking about the clamping down the flow of gas, and that Nord Stream and the other gas transfer portals would be slowed down because of the war. And so the timing couldn't be better that the production of wind energy is really, really escalating over there, and that just doesn't help them, but over time that helps all of Europe. So pretty good news over there. When we step down into the national, the U.S. national, meeting going on between Joe Biden and the top Republicans and Democrats in Congress, they're trying to reach some sort of a deal, an agreement on this debt ceiling increase. And, whenever this comes up, there's always people playing, hardball, and it is what it is. I wish it wasn't the case. I don't understand why, regular folks are expected to, have a balanced checkbook, but we can't do that for the country. But in any event, They had a meeting earlier in the week. They plan to meet again today. They postponed the meeting today, which is seen by many as a good sign. I think they have until June 8th or something like that before it becomes critical as far as a breakthrough, a breakdown of the system, and so. I think the fact that they're not having the meeting today means that the negotiations are at a deeper stage. They want to get things ironed out because, always following the meetings, the press will be after them as far as, what did you do? What did you do? And then they've got to find a way to tell us, and how all that gets. So in another related story related to that, there's a Democratic Representative, Abigail Spanberger, up in Virginia, a former CIA officer, really bright lady, calling for the House's the House Representative Chief Administrative Officer to prepare to withhold pay for members of Congress until the looming crisis over the debt ceiling is resolved. So she's saying, look, either you compromise, come up with a plan, a combination of, cuts and in order to get the debt ceiling increased, or those members of Congress don't get any pay. Now, how about that? She says America's working families understand the basic principles of fairness. If you don't do your job, you don't get paid. So what an idea. When they have the government shutdowns, so many people suffer, but those guys keep getting their pay. Those people that have a base salary of $174,500 every single year. So good for her. We'll see what happens with that. And also, connected also, the approval rate of Congress. We hear people talking about that from time to time, and sometimes it's just, how do you make your brain understand this kind of stuff? So I was looking at, is it called Statista website? Keep track of do all these pollings and stuff, and share with the public this information. Well, lo and behold, over the last year, the approval rating for Congress has increased. It's increased two percentage points, from 18 to 20%. So of those people polled, and I don't have the inner numbers on the number of people polled, but of those people polled, only 20% approve of the job that our elected representatives are doing for them. 78% of America disapproves with the job that Congress does. A couple of percent of people just have no opinion, can't be bothered. They don't got time for that. So think about that, though. I mean, the amazing amount of money that's paid to these congressional representatives, supposedly representing our interests, the interests of their constituents, people that voted for them and the people that didn't. 8 out of every 10 Americans say we're not happy with the job that you're doing. It's been down a lot lower than that. A couple of years ago, it was down to like 9% or something like that. So, but still, what a number. I wanted to share with you also that the guy that put Jordan Neely in the chokehold on the F train in New York City killed a homeless man, killed Jordan Neely, putting him in a chokehold. He was taken into custody at a police precinct on Friday, expected to be arraigned on manslaughter charges. So, we can always intervene in different situations in life, and sometimes that becomes lethal when people do so even with good intent. Just remember just a couple short months ago at the Paddy's Day Parade in downtown Jackson, these two young people saw this man beating up on his wife in an automobile parked over there. They tried to intervene, and both of them got shot dead in the back. And so here was the guy that this homeless man was acting in a way that this guy didn't approve of, and so he just took that into his own hands, a former Marine, and took that into his own hands and ended up killing the guy. So he's gonna face manslaughter charges. Before we head out to commercial, we're gonna drop down to the Mississippi stories. And I always say every single broadcast, I just can't not say that today is yet again another day when there's no Republicans that have called for hearings on this TANF scandal, which has turned minimum of $77 million of federal money intended as a safety net for the poorest families in Mississippi. They turned that into their own personal slush fund, paying for extravagant projects, sending people to rehab. How can you, sending people out to Malibu to rehab. You know what those rehabs cost? And flights and limousines and fitness trainers and volleyball stadiums. The list just goes on and on and on. And all these people call themselves Christian, and yet here they were stealing money intended to go to the very poorest Mississippians. They just took it like it was theirs. Make you think a lot of things. But these people will not hold hearings. They want to keep it quiet, and we're not going to let them do that. Just exactly. Also, you got maybe just enough time. You've heard the name Rasheem Carter talked about in this studio on many occasions. And the family of Rasheem Carter, who was lynched in Taylorsville, Mississippi, 25-year-old man, lynched in Taylorsville, Mississippi, a few months back in October is what it surely seemed like. Well, they keep finding body parts, and now Ben Crump is telling people that they believe they have found a fourth set of human remains, believed to be remains of Rasheem Carter. A bystander told Carter's family last week that deputies found remains in the water near the scene where the other sets of remains were found. Family members said they had not officially been notified by investigators. The family always get notified of any developments way after the fact, 4-6 weeks after the fact. But not been notified by the investigators, but said a 5-second video recorded by the bystander shows that the deputies were at the scene trying to take that in. The Simpson County Sheriff Paul Mullins told ABC News the remains were found on April 30th in a wooded area of the county. Mullins said they appeared to be animal bones, but he sent the remains to the county coroner, said the Mississippi Medical Examiner should analyze the remains by Monday. And so we'll have to see. A young man, totally race-related, got in a jam with some supervisor at his work where he was doing welding for them, lived in Fayette but working over there in Taylorsville, and they tracked him down and they killed him despite him asking for help from the police on 2 different days. The police didn't help. They didn't help. The white police didn't help this black man, and next thing you know, a month later he disappears, and then a month later they start finding his remains. The saddest, despicable, most thing you could ever hear, a lynching in 2023 in rural Mississippi. So we'll stop there. When we come back in, we're going to try and bring you a special treat from the Mississippi Mass Choir. So we'll step out for a couple of commercials. We'll be right back with you.
Looking for the hottest content in the city of Jackson and surrounding areas? Check out WeBelieveDigital.com. Also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. We Believe Digital Podcast is here for all your podcasting needs.
The Mississippi Link is an African-American female-owned newspaper with a trusted voice that is highly respected throughout the city, state, and nation. Our motto, keepers of the knowledge for people who speak the truth, since 1993. Significantly attitudes and buying decisions of its readers. Call us at 601-368-8481 for your advertising needs. If you would like to receive a newspaper in the mail each week, our annual subscription is only $52 per year. That is only $1 per week for you to stay informed regarding many stories that you can only get in the Mississippi Link. Sign up today at themississippiLink.com and click on Home Delivery.
Make some noise if you love.
And welcome back to We Believe Digital Studios, twice a week news break program. How about that now? How about that? How about that new song by the Mississippi Mass Choir, just released? People quickly taking notice. The choir's new single, that's called The Promise. So go ahead and get a hold of that, called The Promise, is now at, and I think this article was yesterday, is now at number 23 on Billboard's gospel radio chart. So people predicting that it's going to break into the top 20 on the gospel chart really, really soon. Maybe, wouldn't that be great? The Promise, you got Mother's Day coming up. And wouldn't that be great? It's number 29 on Mediabase, 23 on Billboard Gospel Radio Chart. So God bless the Mississippi Mass Choir, always a source of pride and encouragement in our state of Mississippi. Never controversy or nonsense, just always goodness. So we're so happy for them, and we want to get a hold of that, and so you can listen to the whole song, share it with all your friends. You're just not going to believe. I hope you're sitting down for this next story now. This former governor, Phil Bryant, he says that Mississippi Today CEO Mary Margaret White made a false and defamatory statement about him when she spoke at the media conference in February. Now, you know, Mississippi Today has brought us all Anna Wolf's The Back Channel, where it busts this welfare scandal wide open. And there's strong and direct links. And he's being sued civilly. No criminal charges now against the former governor. Everybody was kind of waiting on that. But several people have pleaded guilty. Several people directly involved have turned tail, pleaded guilty, and you know they're spilling the beans on other people too to keep those sentences as short as possible. But Brian also said that the executive editor of Mississippi Today, Adam Ganeschow, and a reporter who won the Pulitzer Prize, Anna Wolf, falsely claimed in a podcast that Mississippi Today employees had never stated that former Governor Bryant had committed a crime. So you see what this guy's doing. First, he spends well over a year fighting, releasing text messages with all the cronies about all this money, and then when he decides that that's not working, because he already gave Anna Wolf text messages. Now all of a sudden he comes on this damage control campaign earlier in the week saying that he's going to release everything he has. But guess what? Doesn't appear to be true. So come to find out, it seems like the back channel has text messages already that were not released in this recent trove of text messages that were released. So lots of contradiction there. Isn't that just the way it is in Mississippi? So we'll see how far he gets with all that. You know, maybe a little saber rattling going on by this former governor. And, you know, if he's committed a crime, you know, just like anybody else, nobody's above the law. So I got a sneaking suspicion he's going to get what's coming to him, whether or not that's through criminal litigation or civil or by some other means. Now, the guy that replaced him down there at the governor's mansion, which is our governor's mansion, you know, he's doing this re-election campaign. Was a story about that in this week's Mississippi Link that just came out yesterday, or the day, yesterday. And but this re-election campaign. But can you believe it? He's using video that he shot 4 years ago from the now closed down New Summit School. And the New Summit School that was owned by Nancy New, one of the defendants in the welfare scandal, one of the central figures in welfare in Mississippi's massive welfare scandal. So think that one through for a minute. You know, you would think, so is that just poking everybody in the eye, or is that just ignorance? I just can't understand when somebody, you know, I mean, that school and another like it were central to this whole scandal. These nonprofits where they funneled this money through, millions and millions of dollars, and this guy uses one of those schools to shoot his campaign commercial. Buff up the old commercial that he had from 2019 that included footage of the school for his current re-election campaign. You just got to shake your head. In Hinds County, but certainly, you know, implications for the state of Mississippi because it includes the Chief Justice of the Mississippi Supreme Court. Hinds County Chancery Court Judge Dwayne Thomas mulling over putting a stay on the implementation of HB 1020. Now, we can, you know, reasonably expect to hear from him in the next couple business days. Could even be today. Maybe it'll be Monday. Maybe it'll be Tuesday. But he's thinking about that. In the meantime, he did dismiss 2 people that were named in the filing, and that is the Chief Justice, Michael Randolph, and the Hinds County Clerk, Zach Wallace. He dismissed them yesterday as defendants in this case because he said there was a very big conflict with their actually executing their duties as assigned. And so he said it really an apples and oranges kind of thing. And so he dismissed them from the suit, because if they're taking any actions based on this, they're following the law. They're doing what the legislature tells them to do, and the governor signs into law. So we'll have to see what comes on that. But really critical time here in these lawsuits, and we got a little something more on that story too as we move more into Hinds County. The NAACP today is asking a federal judge to block Mississippi Chief Justice from implementing provisions of HB 1020. So you see how that works. You see how quickly the NAACP all over that. And so 1 minute this guy gets dismissed. This Chief Justice gets dismissed from the lawsuit, but they only have a short amount of time before they're supposed to appoint, according to the law that's in place right now. They only have a few short days of time before they're supposed to, Chief Justice is supposed to appoint these four new judges for this new unprecedented judicial district that usurps the rights of Hinds County voters. And so quick like a bunny, NAACP on that. So they're going the extra level, going directly after the Mississippi Chief Justice to try to stop him from implementing those provisions, appointing those 4 judges. Good on them. Great story last night by Rosalind Anderson, a veteran reporter, a beautiful gal, just a really terrific multimedia journalist over now at WLBT, has been for years. Last night, speaking about this unspoken sewer crisis. All kinds of sewer problems going on, just like the water problems here in Jackson. Sometimes the water and the trash ends up kind of taking precedence. Don't talk about the sewer as much, but you can go back and see that on WLBT. Look at the video. It's a great segment that she did over in Alta Woods, off Alta Woods Boulevard. Raw sewage from broken, backed up pipes flowing into people's homes over there. It just doesn't get any sadder. This one lady that she interviewed, 3 times in the last 5 years, the city has come out there and had to replace drywall and flooring and all kinds of stuff because the sewage water backed right up into her home 3 times in a 5-year period. I mean, how do you get over something like that? How do you move on? And I don't think the home value would be much if she tried to sell and go away. Sad stuff. Great story though on the sewer issues. You can check that out on WLBT. Ashawn Harris is our Parks and Recreation Director for the City of Jackson, and he just launched a website yesterday called Safe Summer Youth Expo 2023. All kinds of activities that they have planned for youth, so we can reduce the number of people arguing that there's not enough to do for young people. And the special thing about this project, not only do you have the city events that the city is sponsoring, events that Parks and Rec is sponsoring, but you also have an availability on that website if you're a nonprofit, like even We Believe Digital, or a church, or any local organizations or whatever. You can go on that website and post different events that are safe for youth. They'll be screened and reviewed, and then as long as it's everything a green light, they'll be put up on that website so that parents and young people can go to the website, see what's going on in Jackson today, what's going on this week, what do we got coming up in the month of June that I can be excited about, participate in, get involved in. So that seemed like a very promising development there. Want to tell you too about an event coming up for May 20th. Now that's a week from, what is that? That's a week from tomorrow. a week from tomorrow, Men Who Care About Jackson, a prayer breakfast that's going to go on out at the JSU E-Center. All this is being done, sponsored by the Restoration Community Church, Pastor Joseph White. If you haven't met him, you're missing out. He's actually a physician and a pastor, just a really, really bright man, but a very feet to the ground, caring about people, man. And I went to an event last summer out at Garraway Retreat, put on by Men Who Care About Jackson. That's where I met Pastor White. And so anyway, May 20th from 8:30 to 12 noon. May 20th, a week from tomorrow, prayer breakfast entitled Strong Together. May 20th, 8:30 a.m. to 12 noon. There's a complimentary breakfast, an action meeting. Topics include stopping the violence, exploring solutions, and healing our city. Totally free admission. I'm going to give you a phone number for you to text if you want to go. You're going to text 601-951-1020. 1020. I love it. 601-951-1020. You're just going to text your name and the word yes. And that way they could be prepared. You know, they have enough food and resources, handouts, different things that they'll be providing. They have enough for everybody. So RSVP, you know, send that text ahead of time. One more time, 601-951-1020. And it sounds like a great event. And I'm hoping to make it. I'm afraid I got another meeting scheduled from 10 to 12, but who knows? Great event. And one last story as we wind down the time here. I guess I should have shared this with you on the national level because this is a USA story about boys and girls' names. You know, some people pay really close attention to that. Then, you know, some people have names that are, you know, common. Some people have names that are very popular. Sometimes it's both, and sometimes you have some very unique names. But so let me run through. We'll go girls first because, you know, ladies first. That's the way it works. So here's the top 10 names last year in the United States of America. Olivia, Emma, Charlotte, Amelia, Sophia, Isabel, Ava, Evelyn, and breaking into the top 10 for the first time ever, Luna, L-U-N-A, Luna. Makes number 10 for the first time ever. And for the boys, at number 1 through 10 is Liam, Noah, Oliver, James, Elijah, William, Henry, Lucas, Benjamin, and Theodore. So there you have it. The most used names according to the Social Security Administration last year in the U.S. of A. So we thank you so much for tuning in, joining us. We Believe Digital Newsbreak. Always glad you're here. Give us a call if we can answer any questions for you. Have a wonderful Mother's Day weekend out there. Take good care of yourselves and take care of one another right alongside it. Take good care. See you Monday at noon.